I've only stayed in a hostel a handful of times. Generator Hostel in Paris. I'm female, 22 at the time, came back early from bar hopping in the Latin Quarter. My friends were still out. Some dudes were standing in front of my room. To be honest, I was a bit buzzed and didn't think much of it. As I started looking for my room key, one says, "Oh, you're in the room next to ours. Come hang out with my friends and I." I politely declined. He insisted. At this point, I started walking away, and he started yelling, "Come back, sexy." All of his friends came out of the hostel room. It was about 8 of them, I think. They were all yelling stupid shit. As I was making my way to the middle of the hallway to catch the elevator to hang out in the lobby downstairs, a security guard was on his way to my room. He asked me if everything was cool. I said I wanted to go to bed. The security guard asked me to wait by the elevator while he spoke to them. They waited inside and the guard escorted me to the room. If my memory serves me right, about an hour or so later, they began banging in my room, asking me to come out. I was a bit scared. Can't lie. I texted my friends to get security guard to escort them upstairs when they got in. To be honest, my only fear was them actually trying to get into our room. By the next day, they were completely gone. I went to college in PNW. A big group of us went to Vancouver, BC for a long weekend. The drinking age is 19 in BC, and we were mostly under 21, so this was exciting. There were also some weird social dynamics in the group. For a few months I've been getting really close to one of the guys. Let's call him Emo Boy. But he had a long distance girlfriend that he always sort of insinuated he was on the rocks with. Nothing ever happened between us, but there were vibes. Anyways, his girlfriend is on this trip. We've stayed at this hotel somewhere downtown. We go out that night and get very, very drunk. My friend, Tits McGee, keeps flashing bartenders to get free shots for our group. We all get separated. Emo Boy and his girlfriend head home. Unbeknownst to us, my other friend, Fifth Wheel, goes home with the singer of the band that was playing at the bar. Tits McGee and I are still going strong. We hit a few more bars and then meet some guys who take us to an after-hours dim sum place that serves beer. Afterwards, the guys tried to take us home with them, but we decided we should go back to the hostel. We decided to ditch them by running through traffic and weaving patterns so they couldn't follow us. Gotta love drunk logic. Except we were literally just across the street and they saw us walk in the door of the hostel. Not to mention, we could have died. We get back at like 4 a.m. and I almost immediately start vomiting. It's a small hostel and I'm told I woke up everyone. Emo Boy comes to check on me, which prompts a big fight between him and his girlfriend. So they're yelling at each other in the hallway. I'm loudly puking my guts out in the shared bathroom. And then Tits McGee starts freaking out that the guys we ditched are trying to get into the hostel. We finally realize Fifth Wheel is missing. So after leaving him some exasperated voicemails, we loudly debate calling the police. The next morning when we woke, the hostel staff had printed up a flyer instituting new quiet hours and told us that anyone in breach would be kicked out. And that is maybe the second craziest thing that has happened on this trip. After I got home, I seriously reevaluated my life choices. I'm not ashamed. Also, pretty glad I got all that stupidity out of my system while I was young. I suppose this could be interpreted as a horror story. A buddy of mine and I were doing the classic Euro trip when we were 18. 6 to 7 countries within 3 months. Started in Barcelona, ended up in Dublin, where this story happened. By the way, we were both American. We were on our last week, pretty much broke, and had been drinking way too much. Stayed in a $5 hostel near Temple Bar. We decided to take the night off from drinking until we met 2 cute New Zealand girls who wanted to drink and play drinking games. Fuck it, why not? We bought the handle of vodka and some wine for the four of us. We started playing this game called Fuck the Bus, and eventually my buddy and I blacked out. I wake up in my bed hours later. No idea how I got there. To the huge Russian front desk guy grabbing me out of my bed saying, "Look, friend, you have 5 minutes to leave before I call the cops." I look over and my buddy is so drunk his face is pale white, leaning up against the wall, and had pissed in someone else's bed. He thought it was a urinal. Luckily the person wasn't in it. I was so disoriented, drunk, pissed at my friend that I almost started crying, and grabbed both of our stuff, and after 3 attempts, finally booked it into another hostel at 3 in the morning. Besides that, I've never really had any bad hostel stories. I've been backpacking and staying in hostels throughout Europe, Africa, Latin America since my teenage years. I'm 28, and you get the usual people trying to have sex, drugs, etc., but nothing too crazy. Hostels are the best. Argentina, Guatemala, 3 years ago. Managers were of a divorced Russian couple in their early 50s. Divorced a while, I'd guess, but sort of planning their lives as a unit. Dude answers the door the day I arrived, wearing a shirt that says, "Fuck you, you fucking fuck." And he was still wearing it 4 days later. Anyhow, they'd been living in Costa Rica after being deported from the States, and the woman got a young Costa Rican boyfriend with some crazy name like Whistler. It wasn't Whistler, but something just like it. So, Whistler moves to Guatemala with them to work at the hostel. Some old American dude from Utah is financing. You seriously can't make this shit up. Now, dude, number 4 in this love triangle is a loser. American poor man's Lorenzo Lamas, who lives at the hostel but owes like 3 or 4 weeks of rent. He is in love with a Russian lady. Hates Whistler. Found out Russian dude hated Whistler too, when he smashed his face into the floor. Anyhow, the night in question, a bunch of us all go out and the Russian chick gets hammered and starts dirty dancing with fake Lorenzo Lamas. He starts kissing her on the neck and is clearly in 7th heaven. Basically, when we get back, Whistler goes berserk. Not sure how he knew, but he also seemed really high, too, and not on weed. He and fake Lorenzo start fighting, and when we eventually get the chairs to break over, Whistler and English guy Jamie and I grab the chair and break it up, restraining fake Lorenzo. Then Russian dude who wasn't out with us comes flying in out of nowhere, tackles Whistler and beats the fuck out of him, smashing his skull into the concrete until we pull him off. Now fake Lorenzo wants back in, and Russian dude calms down, but Whistler grabs a giant knife and starts slashing his wrist. Luckily it was dull. We decide our Good Samaritan hour is up, and we head upstairs. We agreed that it was best just to leave, so we packed, waited 30 minutes until the crashing stopped downstairs, and left quietly. I just met Jamie and his girlfriend 2 hours prior. I can still hear the horrible popping sound of the Russian guy slamming Whistler's face into the concrete like a scene from one of those graphic novel movies. I stayed in a hostel in Spain last year. It had great reviews, kind of an upmarked hostel. It wasn't really cheap either, but cheaper than a decent hotel. The room had 3 single beds, sharing with 2 others in my party, but the beds were so close together you could feel the other person's breath on your face if you were facing them. There wasn't a window, and therefore it was very stuffy, very warm, and it was the only one in March. Can't imagine what summer would be like there. The bathroom had a very lightly frosted dividing window with a toilet right beside it. Absolutely no privacy at all. We ended up taking turns to leave the room when one of us had to drop one, or hang a towel up when one of us showered. Each morning I was awoken to the sound of neighbors vomiting. A sound coming from the bathroom. Maybe the walls were thin there. The key card to get into the hostel area didn't work much of the time. Certain doors didn't work. The staff seemed to care about talking to the young, good-looking customers rather than take time to help you out. Oh, and I asked 4 times for pillows and didn't get any. Used a towel and hoodie as a pillow the entire stay. Terrible. They aren't all that bad. I stayed in one that was really pleasant. Private rooms in hostels will be cheaper than private hostel rooms, so it's worth looking for one that suits you. Hey guys, so sorry about the wait. These are just a couple short stories for now. Some hostel things I had seen online. It was kind of interesting. I tried looking for some more scarier stories, but I couldn't really find any on this subject. I mean, if you guys have seen the movie Hostel, that's kind of what I was expecting. But yeah, I guess my expectations were a little too high. But, you know, thank you for everything, guys. Thank you for checking out the channel. We'll be doing some more collabs here soon, so stay tuned for that. If you guys can do me a quick favor and just drop down a comment what you would like to hear next. You know, I look at your comments every day, and I try to listen to you guys as much as I can, and I try to look for these stories and you know, work on my channel and develop it. Also, I've been going live on my Instagram lately, so if you want to check me out there, I've got the link in the description field. And I just kind of bullshit with you guys and just have a lot of fun. Anyways, thank you so much for taking the time to check out the channel, and that's it. Alright, bye.